Okay, I have the new cooler prepped and ready. I have the new gasket glued on, and then the gasket not with silicone, but with like spray adhesive. And then the one thing you don't want to forget on these 6.0s is this big donut looking gasket goes right here. You never want to forget that. I'm gonna have to clean this off. I don't know why they would use silicone on that. Like I said, this is a Jasper engine. So Jasper likes to do weird things. Okay. There's a little bit of silicone still left on the outer ring, but it doesn't seal right there. It seals on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it. And then you want to get the back lined up as well. Now, on the back, you don't want to tighten it that tight. You just want to keep it snug so the cooler doesn't move around too much. It kind of stays in a place. Okay, now see, just loose enough to where it stays in a place. Now we're going to go ahead and set this on. We're going to turn it until it stops, pull on it, it's good. Okay. And then when you're doing these EGR coolers, you want to make sure you transfer the clip over. The retainer, this clip right here. You want to make sure you transfer that over when you get a Bulletproof. They don't send you the new one with it. So, don't forget that. Now, we're going to pull these rags off. I'm going to clean up the top of the intakes on the cylinder head, intake ports. They're not bad. Let's try to wipe the dirt off. Get it all nice and clean. So I don't get nothing in the engine. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the intake gaskets out. Okay, here's the intake gaskets. Now, it's going to take me a second to remember this. I used to do these every day. I haven't done... Last time I did one was the oil... What did I do on the last one? I think an oil cooler. That's the first one I've done in a while. So bear with me. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and clean this side up. Okay. There's that one. Now these tabs. See these tabs right here? I'll show you on the gasket. This tab, you want them to point up because it sits in the channel in the intake manifold. So I'm just going to set them like that for right this second. Next I'm going to look down all these ports and make sure nothing fell down this engine. I'm going to have to get a mirror for the back ones. Those four, the first 4 ports I can see. I'm going to go grab a mirror. Get them. Back with my mirror. Okay, now, like I said, I'm gonna look down the ports in the back. And then, like I said, it is actually kind of difficult to see down there with this mirror. Because it's so dark down there because of all the soot. I can see those 4. That one looks good. Good. Okay. Cool. So, with that being complete now, we're going to make sure we lubricate this O-ring right here very well on the EGR cooler while that goes into the bottom of the intake manifold. I know it looks like a lot of grease, and that's because it is. The extra isn't going to hurt nobody. Now I have the intake manifold right here. gonna be a little hard to see. I'm gonna go ahead and prep it. Peel the gaskets. This engine's weird. I've never seen gaskets stick like that. I think it's just this engine's been cooked. I'm gonna clean these ports off. Like some brake clean would be nice. This thing's pretty dirty somehow. This intake's like corroded. Clean this port out. Now I'm going to get my little grinder and clean this up because it has a lot of buildup on it. Does it run? Huh? Try to get all the crap off. So I got that clean, This is ready. You gotta talk to Dave in the office. You're welcome. So we're gonna go ahead and put some grease inside here. This is where the O-ring slides into. Okay. Now with everything else ready, we're gonna go ahead and set this sucker down. I'll show you a trick. We're going to slide this thing down in here. The gaskets are going to move, that's okay. Okay. Let's push this gasket back in place. Push that one. Push this one in place. Gonna make sure your rag doesn't get stuck right here. That'll sometimes get bunched up underneath. And then the O-ring, I feel it. I put my hand under and feel it till it's properly in. And you'll feel this cooler's kind of tweaked a little bit. It actually just popped right in. So that's nice. I want to just make sure the O-ring is okay. The O-ring feels perfect. Like that. So perfect. Make sure nothing's wedged under the intake like that. Line the gasket up as good as you can get it. Okay, looks good. Now we're gonna get some JB weld. We're gonna put some bolts back in it. And remember, I marked the studs, so it'll be easier to locate. Okay, now get the bolt. Usually I put the two bolts in this and pull it up, but this one is so easy to go in, I didn't have to do that. It's pretty nice. And then also the E-jar cooler has a stud as well. I'm going to make sure that gasket is lined up. When I look down there, you can look through the hole and you can see that it is. Because that gasket can get shifted. Generally, they won't shift so far where it'll fall out. It'll shift and the bolt won't go in, so you'll know. But you should always be cautious when you're doing that. And like I said, usually I do oil coolers and EGR coolers in a pair. This truck has already been, this is a newer engine. There's nothing wrong with the EGR or the oil cooler at this time. The only reason we're doing this is because the cooler was actually leaking from that O-ring, and the customer wanted to put a bulletproof one on there, which I completely understand and I agree with. Because it doesn't cost him no more money to do it right now while it's apart. And then these bolts usually gotta get a little wiggle like this. Well, you don't want to tighten them right off the bat. Just want to get them all started. Give them a little wiggle jiggle. Now we're just going to tighten them. So, that one's tight. That one's tight. Ratchet skip. That one's tight. 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 That one felt a little weird. No?
The elevator didn't it's just fucking stalled out.
It's weird.
It still cranks like a bitch. It doesn't now because I cranked the yeah, when I checked the oil, there's no oil on the dipstick. Don't check engine light or nothing.
That's weird. So we got all that stuff tight. Let's go ahead and put the bolt back in for the cooler, the little 8. And then once we get the 8 tight, we need to not forget to tighten the 11 in the back. That holds the clamp in. If you don't, it'll buzz. Hey, do you want to move the Lexus? And we'll move the Lexus and move it forward and put it right here. We can move both of these and put it right here.
Right here?
Yeah, I would just put it right there. Just so you're not working out in the sun. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's almost
I'm gonna come around on back. No, go back that up. I can just
That's tight now. And now we're going to put the oil filter housing back on. Just going to make sure the O-ring's still on there, which it is, it's fine. That. Make sure these bolts get lined up pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and tighten those torques now. So we get the fuel system and oil system sealed back up. Yeah, you're good. Okay, leave the oil filter like this. I still have to do an oil change to it. It's in the office. Okay, now we're gonna tighten these 11s, or 11s, 18s. Why did I say 11? Okay. Get all this stuff tight.
Yeah, that one.
Going the right way on it. Okay, there's that. Those are tight. They don't, not trying to win no races here. I don't want to break them. Not paying attention to what everybody else was doing. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this back up. Okay, there's that. Next up, we're gonna tighten up this handle bolt. You put it in front of the Jeep. This thing, just let me remove my pressure tester off it and it'll be done.
Okay.
Okay. And this is 19, we're tightening this thing up. This is the fuel feed.
Go down after that, take it right on the 45th, go all the way down the stoplight, just turn right,
okay, there's that.
All that around the mountain, come back down. On this side, stay on this side. Oh, stay on one fucking road there, back. Yeah. Stay on this side. If you break down, you'll be right over there.
Yeah, very rarely do I go past the mountain. Just because, yeah, right here. I did go around this turn, make a right, go down that way, and go. I just usually, and if I suspect it, I'll go around the block a couple times just to make sure. You never know. Okay, now we're going to. We got the Shorty 10. We're going to put the retainer line bracket on. We got the fuel filter all tight. All the lines are hooked up. Oil filter tight. Housing is tight. Just the filter is not because I have to replace that. Another race car. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and tighten up this 10. This done, I forgot I gotta do the cam sensor too, and the pigtail. We'll finish everything up here first. I gotta do that in the injectors. Okay, that's tight. Now we need the 15. I wouldn't do that one right now. I would do the, just get the Kia done. I think the alternator's right there for the Kia.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Do the Kia, and then I want to try to get that engine in today. I'd like to have that done. Yes, I did. They're actually probably here. Okay, now we're going to put the two 15s to hold the stator housing to the intake. You don't want to tighten it all the way in case it's out of alignment. And this is a little daring. I'll put the bolt in, put it down there. Okay, there's that. There's that. Next we can put the pedestal back in. It's a pedestal. Okay, let's get the impact with the 10. Okie dokie. You can see in there, I know it's going to be a little hard. There's one. Now you want to be careful when you put bolts back in the block, especially on these center valleys. If there's oil in it, there's oil in the hole, you could crack the block if you try to tighten it too fast, because it'll overcome the pressure below the bottom of the block out. So when you're tightening these, you want to make sure there's no oil in the hole first, and just kind of take your time with it. You'll feel the restriction. You'll feel it fight you. Just take the time, and you'll be fine. Look at that. That's a new catchphrase. Take your time and you'll be fine. So just run it slow. Okay, the camera died when I was tightening the pedestal. So the pedestal is tight. Everything else down here is tight. I have a rag over the oil filter housing. I went to look and see if I had a oil filter for this truck, and I actually do not. So that's gonna have to wait till the end until I get a chance to order one. So we're gonna, right now I'm just gonna go ahead and get the turbocharger in. But I am forgetting something. Look at that. Yeah, baked on. Wow. I've like I said, I've never seen one like that. It's crazy. Truck's definitely put through the ringer. But like I was saying earlier, I need to put the Ficm harness in before I do this. So I got that done. Let's go ahead and pop this in. Okay, that looks okay for me. Maybe a little bit more grease just to help it out. Okay. Now let me get the Ficm harness and the turbocharger. Here's the Ficm harness. Now it goes like so. It like webs in underneath the factory one. So I'm gonna start with over here. We're gonna plug in this side. That side I'm not gonna plug in because that's the side I'm doing the injectors on. So I'm not gonna plug them in and have to unplug them in a few minutes. Doesn't make any sense. But we're gonna still get it into place. I think it's easier to do this now than fight with it later. Okay. Okay, there's that. I'm gonna put that back in. Put this back in. I'm gonna try to clip everything back in the way it's supposed to, you know. This harness I'm gonna leave a little loose over here because I'm gonna have to get in there and mess with it for the injector connectors. But overall, everything's good. I just need to put the turbocharger in, hook this stuff up down here, and yeah. Okay, here's the turbo. And I already pulled the gasket off the top. Makes it a little easier. Okay. Turbos sometimes can be a little finicky to get in there, so just take your time. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this clamp off. It'll make it easier to get this turbo out, put it back in. One thing you want to be careful of when you're putting this turbocharger back in, you want to make sure you don't pinch the O-ring from the oil return. Or smash. I've seen people smash the tops of them. Okay. Should just set right down like that, like butter. Okay. That pipe's not even straight. Now we're gonna put the 10s back in the turbo. I have brand new ones from the Ford hardware kit that we get for the turbocharger. Usually I like to install these loose, and then I like to get the up pipe on and then tighten the up pipe at the very end. I'm trying to get my hand in the back and put the bolts in the bottom. gonna have to do it like so. Okay, got that one in. Let's grab my little 1/8 wrench. Let's get the turbocharger. At least get these bolts started. And this one doesn't require spacers. The only ones that require spacers are the early ones. Generally the ones with the bolt that goes like this in the back of the turbo. Those ones usually do. These later ones, I don't think I've ever seen one, require spacers. I've seen people put spacers on them. Doesn't mean that's right. So we're just getting that back one, just get it. I got it pretty much finger tight. Maybe a little pass, but it's not gonna hurt it. Just wanna make sure your oil return is in all the way. That's the pipe that I put in with the 2 yellow O-rings that goes in the housing. Sometimes, if you have a hard time getting the turbocharger to actually sit in there because the oil line is too far back, you can pull the oil line out a little bit and pop it in the turbo and then install the oil line with the turbo in as one, but it has to be kind of down there. You know, there's millions of different ways you can do it. Necessarily the way I'm doing it isn't the right way. There's plenty of other ways to do everything. Okay, now I'm going to get the back one started by hand. Back one's good. Now we do have a problem though. But we're going to see how much of a problem it actually is. I don't know if you can see. I don't know how far you can see. Yeah, you can see back there. Oh man, I lost my light cover. Dang it. Okay, you can see the up pipe right there, how it's not fully seated. So we're gonna have to figure that one out. And then that's pretty typical. I'll show you a way. I don't know if it's gonna be a problem yet. Just grab my light cover for my camera so I don't lose it. Okay. So with the up pipe being like that, you see how it's not even? Pop right in perfect. So it's not a problem. Usually they're not, unless, you know, you get someone who doesn't know what they're doing, but so the way that I do these, you gotta give both hands back here, spread it open, the T-bolt's facing back. Okay, pop it on like that. Then you want to line it up. I really can't see what I'm doing. Okay, you want it just like that. Okay, next, let's grab the 11. Go ahead and tighten that up. Get that out of the way. Tight. Okay, now we're going to go back and tighten the turbocharger mounting bolts. I know it's going to be hard for you to see, honestly, but you're just going to have to work with me. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten the back one right now. It's not really difficult. It's actually, I think it's the easier one. We're going to go ahead and tighten that one up. And then we'll go around, tighten the rest up, get the oil line in. Just want it tight. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and tighten the 2 on the turbocharger. Let me grab another wrench. I brought one just in case. Usually what I do is I use my regular 10 wrench and just kind of double up the wrenches. Get a little get it tight. Okay.
Take the one, the normal spot.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now we're gonna do the back one. Okay. I like using the closed-end wrench. I feel like I can apply more torque that way. I just use one hand. That's plenty tight. Okay, now we need to get this Ficm. We'll get the ground on. I think I can go ahead and put it on now. Put this back on. Put the nut on. I know I still gotta tighten the downpipe. We'll do that right now. Get these tight. Okay. Here's this. Okay, we got that tight. Now, get that tight. Get that tight. Okay. That's complete now. We're going to do the turbo oil return. Or the feed, I'm sorry. My brain's a little everywhere today. I got a lot to do today. Okay. Here's the oil feed line. Let me get you guys a little better of a view. We're done poking around right there. I'm gonna change this O-ring. Set it over there in the trash pile. Here's the brand new O-ring. Let me get a little grease on that.
So this kid, this is the guy from Raleigh. He does a lot of German shit, a lot of Volkswagen. But I mean, you know, he rebuilt his 1.8. He's got a V5. You know, he's turned all water pumps and stuff like that on him. He's done his trannies in a Quattro. Okay. So I mean, he does sound like he's, you know, he goes, if I have a cylinder head or something I need done, I take it over to Torres Machining. He did it for me for 40 bucks. Machines it, injects it. Okay. So I mean, I don't know. You want to bring him in for
that day? Yeah, I would say at least on a day off, have him come in.
Yeah, I think he's his last week he's done.
He's done over there?
I think so.
Cool. Have him come in then. So all we can do is give him a try, you know. Okie dokie, guys. Okay, so whoa. Now I have this. Let's get the oil line on the top before I put this in. And why did I take my rag off of that? Nobody will ever know. It's for me to know and for you to find out. I'm kind of rushing, but I don't rush and hack stuff. I just work faster, as fast as I can. Making these videos takes a little bit more time because I have to get good shot, explain everything, and make sure the sound's good, and I get uninterrupted. You know, as you can hear, many times a day, which is okay. It's part of life, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and plug the oil pressure switch, but remember, earlier I almost forgot my weather pack. Let's put the weather pack back in. So it's actually a waterproof connection. And then we have the engine oil temperature sensor. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it under the oil feed line. I still tighten those two 10s. But yeah, just very, very busy. And it makes me even more scatterbrained than normal. I know I'm very scatterbrained. That's okay though. At the end, I'm gonna put a piece of loom over this, at least this side, to prevent it from rubbing through. I'm not gonna tape it though, because if I tape it, what it'll do is it'll melt together. I've had a truck do it before. It'll melt the wires together in the tape. So I'll go ahead and just put some loom over it, seal it up, and call it a day. Plugging the EGR valve in. I plug the intake air temperature sensor number 2 in. I'm gonna go ahead and plug the fan back in and the engine cool temperature sensor.
Do you know if we have any more of these bolts?
I might have some of my bin.
What the hell? Who painted the engine?
Jasper. It's a Jasper engine.
Oui, oui.
Monsieur. Yeah, if you look at my bin, I might have some. If not, just let Dave know and we can order some. I think Napa sells them. And I need my tank.
Where's your bin?
My blue one right there in the bucket. My blue bucket right there full of bolts. There might be some in there. Okay. I still gotta order an oil filter for it. Yeah, it just sucks being so busy and you have some technicians that don't show up and stuff. But, you know, all we can do is keep looking, find somebody else, and find some more good technicians. And we already have. We have a good base group of people, but there's a couple of extras that, you know, they don't like to show up and don't call or text or nothing. You know, just it sucks. It makes it miserable for everybody, for the customers, the technicians. Because now I had to give a technician a big job in the back that they could have did if somebody else came in to help today. And it throws them off their game, throws me off my game because I have to assist with it, which it is what it is, you know. Can't complain, it's life. But next we're going to, might as well get the map sensor out of the way. Let's put the rag back over this. I don't know why I took it off. Let's put the heater control valve back in its place. Don't forget to plug it in. I'm gonna have to check that again. Usually it falls off when I'm done. And then while you have it off, you should look down that port and make sure that port's clean. This one looks fine. I usually like to stick something down it, but I don't really have anything on me right this second. Actually I do. I just take the tip of the WD. I'm not gonna spray it. I'm just gonna stick the tip in. Just clean it out, ream it like that. I've seen them plug up, but early on I used to see a lot of them, but truthfully lately I haven't seen very many. So okay, got those. And Pepperidge Farm may forget, but I didn't, about the downpipe clamp that I keep avoiding for some reason, not on purpose. That's why I keep parts over here, so I can always remember if I forgot something. It's right there. Okay. So that's on. Now let's make sure this is really tight so it doesn't fall off and be loose like it was last time. Because that exhaust can damage stuff too, the heat from it. Give a little extra ugga-dugga. Good look. Okay, got my socket. I want my socket back, I'd like at least. Now we're gonna put the alternator, just bring the alternator up here. I need to fix this bracket. Usually I just take it and hammer it back down. Use everything's a hammer, which is amazing. Get my 8. And we'll put the alternator on, and then we'll put the throttle elbow on. Just the intake elbow, we'll call it. Perfect. Okay. Now we have the alternators. Alternates the power. Got a Chinese new one on here. At least it works, I guess. That's all that matters. Nowadays, everything's kind of not good, so can't really judge parts anymore, you know. Sorry, you might not have been able to see what I was doing. So remember, I always put 2 rags and everything, so I got my 2 rags back, so there's nothing down the engine. We're gonna put this back on. I'm gonna grab my 8 with my extensions. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put this air inlet back on. 1. 2. This one you gotta be careful with, you don't strip it. And then we have, there's one more underneath. You guys probably can't even see what I'm doing. Just again. Get this thing nice and tight. There's that. There's that one. That one. Okay. There's one question I have in my mind. Did I really tighten these? Which I'm pretty sure I did. Yep. The oil feed bolts on the top of the turbo. Those are tight. Everything's clipped back in over here. We just got to put the belt on, which is a good time, but I'll show you a trick for that. Basically, just grab the belt. You want to make sure it's on all the way on all the pulleys, especially the air conditioning, and then this one, the power steering is off, just the hair. But the AC compressor is real common to not want to be on all the way, which it wasn't. So that one feels good, and then I just take the belt, grab it, pull it like that. It's on. Saves a whole lot of work. Okay, next up we have the charge tube for the plastic outlet. Let's get this side on. Ooh, you don't want to push like I was just doing. That is not good. That is very bad. These boots, I hate these boots. They rip and tear. These Fords just have some wonky designs. Because with the heat, it just destroys them. Especially when they're cooked. I've seen some cooked, never this bad. But you want to make sure that boot is straight. Huh? What's that? Yeah, I know. So that one's nice and tight. Those ones you want to make sure are absolutely perfect because they will pop off. Then over here when you tighten it, you want to make sure it doesn't sit up against the AC line like it was when I was done with it. Okay, so pretty much got almost all back together. Okay. Now I think I'm going to cut the video and we're going to turn into an injector replacement. So we're going to switch gears. So